All right, Crutona Mullins House of Math. Here is an outline I probably will not be sticking to, but on the 31st of the month, Saturday, oh, and big difference, it's Eastern time, not Pacific time, because the people that I'm doing this for are in Massachusetts. So 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast is when this thing begins, not 8 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. So if you're in tech, absolutely, positively works. It doesn't just work, it produces some of them. When they get into public schools or into places where there are standardized tests, many times those students that score best, if you take a look, and a lot of times they won't tell you what they did, they were using Mortensen math consistently. Okay, so again, probably not going to stick to this blocks to teach mathematics. And that doesn't mean just because you have base 10 blocks, you don't use anything else. You got all those other Montessori materials. Use them in conjunction with, okay? In addition to, not instead of, not either or, both. And a lot of the materials, I think you'll be able to see that if you already have Montessori materials, they of course will work well with the base 10 blocks. Simple units, obviously, it's no fun playing with blocks. We don't know what the names of the pieces are. Place value, obviously, right? And we're going to go through that rapidly. I can tell you a quick story about me in my mother's classroom where they had months set aside to teach place value. And I got it done in a week and a half, 2 weeks, every one of them. Not just competency and mastery within about 2 weeks. All of their students, the ESL student, all of them. Introducing place value with base 10 blocks and how to build quantity, units, rods, tens, flats, hundreds, cubes. Yeah, see right there. Um, I won't be using cubes, will I? Okay, composed and decomposed numbers using physical groupings. Group activity, participate building numbers, match with cards, discuss supports internalization of the base 10 structure. All right, maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see what happens. Second dynamic addition and subtraction. You're going to see addition and subtraction like you've never seen it before because we're going to do 45 add-ins and 400 math facts. Okay, use of trays and place value to organize. Very important. See, and wait a minute. I skipped static addition with no regrouping and dynamic with regrouping using the blocks, of course. Right? Can only have 9 in any one place. So use of the trays and place value mats to organize. And see, this is the idea, right? You understand the theory and what you want to do. Now I'm going to show you how you do it using the base 10 blocks. The emphasis, of course, on hands-on discovery, control of error using the trays, internalization through repetition. Hate to say it, but repetition is the mother of skill. You can't get away from it. Participants will model examples and discuss how to scaffold transitions. Love the language. Yeah, I'm going to show you how to use them. Okay, then we're going to have a short question and answer at the end. Reflection, how to base 10 blocks reinforce Montessori principles. What was Jerry thinking? What was he thinking? I'll tell you what it was. Anyway, no. I'll skip that thought. Address sticking points, variations, and home versus classroom use. Because a lot of these people, hopefully, the parents will get blocks and take them home to supplement the Montessori school. Because this is an enrichment school, not a full on school where they come, 8 hours a day, every day, and so on. So it's enrichment for the little ones. And mom and dad can enrich at home also. Okay, so part two after the break, extending operations and bridging to abstraction. I like that. And I've seen some interesting triangles and other things that try to describe how we're going to get to abstraction. But what we're going to do is start in the concrete, move to drawings and symbols, and between the three of those, you're going to get abstraction. Okay, multiplication and division with base 10 blocks, Montessori style multiplication. Um, yeah, and it says Montessori style on purpose because I do it just slightly differently because this is, like I said, an oral tradition and Jerry refined the process. repeated addition, arrays and grouping, and then you're going to see when we do the repeated addition, I'm certainly going to add the add-ins in there. And then division. I have books on this, by the way. Right? I have entire books that you can get for 20 bucks, all of them. The absolutely amazing add-ins and divinely non-difficult division. Actually, divinely dandy non-difficult division. And talking about sharing into equal parts using concrete manipulatives. The whole time we're going to be using concrete manipulatives, by the way. We're not just going to be sitting there talking about using them. They're going to be hands-on the whole, pretty much from beginning to end. All right, remainders and visualization, group work, model real examples, compare base 10 blocks and golden bead chain approaches, because the beads are great, the blocks are better. And again, not either or, not instead of, but both. Word problems and story-based math using simple narratives to teach. Okay, so all the story problems in the Series A manuals, we'll talk about some of those and how to make it accessible and available to the very young students. So addition, multiplication, subtraction, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Are we just going to do base 10? Or do you think I'm going to throw some algebra in there? Which is the whole point, right? Acting out stories with base 10 blocks, yeah, maybe. If you want to do that in your classroom, that's fine. But more than likely, because I did do some acting out with second graders where we learned Pythagorean theorem that way, because they had to figure out, well, how are we going to figure out how far it is? I know how long this side is, and I know how long that side is, but how am I going to figure out the diagonal with all this stuff in the way? All right, so anyway, acting out stories with base 10 blocks. Participants write and present their own story problems. This is the other thing. Make up your own games and activities and make their own story problems. That exhibits mastery. I have been in situations where I did 2 hours of training. We won't mention the school. It was on Maui. And after I got done, I tried to get the teachers to all make up story problems and examples of their own, and only one of them could do it. All the rest of them made up story problems that had nothing to do with what we just did for 2 hours. Well, we'll leave it at that. And anyway, that was years ago, and who cares? But the idea is you have to be able to make up your own story problems for the children. And you should be able to make them up on the fly once you understand the concepts. Okay, emphasis, engagement, language development, and comprehension. Okay, and then transitioning from concrete to abstract, right? Because you don't want them with their hands on the blocks the whole time. They got to be able to visualize and see it in their heads. When and how to introduce number sentences. Use the stamp game and the bead game to build mental math. Okay, if you're not a Montessorian, you may not know what that means, but if you are a Montessorian, that should be pretty obvious. Let's see here. Techniques for scaffolding, right, to bring it up. Gradual removal of the manipulatives. Encouraging mental estimation and visualization. And then we're going to, last 15 minutes will be wrap up, maybe take a quick tour of my website, share some of the printables that you can get from Module 1, sample lesson formats using base 10 blocks, observation guides. They're probably not, it's such a small school, I doubt there's going to be teachers observing other teachers. But that's one way to, it's a great way to learn. Recommended books and sites. That would be my site. That would be any book Maria Montessori has ever written in her life. Any book that Mario wrote would be recommended books. But also Li Ping Ma, Teaching and Knowing Mathematics, and maybe a couple other titles I'll share. And then a few open questions. Optional, sign-in sheet isn't optional. I need to have everybody's name and address and phone number. Well, don't need the address, but, you know, contact information. All right, that looks good on paper. That's probably not what's going to happen in class or in the seminar, but it's going to be close because we're going to cover all of this and more. And I'm going to show you because this doesn't talk about integrating algebra. And the idea is to integrate the algebra and to make the quote-unquote higher mathematics or advanced mathematics accessible to the little ones. Now, I had many years cutting my teeth working with, because I used to specialize in autistic children. We had a little conversation about the fact that probably half of the students in this school are somewhere on the spectrum, and one of them is really, really bad. So of course I introduced them and told them about Masterpiece. If you have, it's getting concerning, but I spent a lot of time working with autistic students. Now, if this works with autistic students, guess what? It works with gifted and talented, actual gifted and talented students. I mean, the ones that are like off the charts. I've had the benefit of working with genius children that are like far superior in intellect to me. I have one where I joked that I actually had a genius, like a supra genius. They wouldn't let him in college because he was only 12. So he had finished pretty much all the DOE's public education K through 12 easily by the time he was 12 years old. And they wouldn't let him on a college campus. So in the meantime, unescorted, a 12-year-old, really? So his parents hired me, and what they actually did was I tricked them into having this child teach me how to use base 10 blocks in ways I never thought of. That was an excellent education. And I got paid for it because I'd show him mathematics, quote unquote, advanced mathematics. And he'd go, yeah, that's great, but you should look at it like this. Or, you know what a better way to explain it would be? Or you know how I see it? And hey, look at this. And that was a 12-year-old child. And a lot of times I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Anyway, see, again, 35 years of experience. I've been teaching math to more kinds of students over the years than most. Every type of student. And I used to go out like Jerry Mortensen, that was an edict of his, go out and teach math. That's the best way to learn how to do it, is go out and teach it to everybody, anybody. And you know who the worst ones to try and teach? Math teachers. Because they already know everything. Right? And a lot of Montessori teachers, they already know everything. Right? They're Montessorians. We're not going to use base 10 blocks. We're not going to improve our mathematics technique. We're going to use this old system that Maria and Mario came up with. Because certainly we're not going to. Right? Okay, it's the same thing. It's a culture. Because Montessori is a culture. Come to Hawaii. If you come to Hawaii, you can go to a Bon dance. And the Bon dances in Hawaii, from what I hear from the Japanese tourists, are just like like going back in time. Because if you go to Japan now, the Bon dances have become more modernized. But in Hawaii, they're still traditional. Everybody dresses up traditionally. The women in their kimonos, right? And they do the dances around the. Anyway. But the idea is that it's like a moment in time. Well, some of the Montessorians have done the same, where we have moved from what they were doing in the 70s and 80s, made it better, refined the materials, refined the methodology. It's still Montessorian, 100%. Anybody that says it's not doesn't understand the Mortensen method. But at the same time, it takes the Montessorian methodology further. And it's unique. Now, the very basic story, how did Jerry come up with this in the first place? So I'll tell it now so I don't have to tell it again. The idea is that he. Okay, this is the fully sanitized version. There was a school in North Idaho that wanted a teacher for, they were going to do a Montessori teacher, and the parents there wanted to do the Montessori method, and they didn't have any Montessori teachers. I mean, they had some kind of, but, it had been watered down, and they had, the genealogy was long, and so what they decided to do was find someone that would go to Italy and actually study with Mario and then come back and work in their school. All right, so there were many, many applicants, and by hook or by crook, let's just say Jerry won. Okay, Jerry was most interested in Italian women and practicing his Italian. He was not so interested in the Montessori method. However, he did do his best and took a lot of notes. I saw his notes. I should have stole his notes from the time that he was there, because I'm pretty sure those notes are spread to the four winds now. Like his library, anyway. So he comes back to North Idaho, roaring to go, right? He's all ready. He's been taught by Mario, and he's going to teach these kids a thing or two, and he's all excited, and those little kids ate him up. Because you know, I don't know if you've been in a room full of 5 and 6 year olds. If you don't, you need to set things immediately, or they're going to eat your lunch. Right? They're just going to play. Okay, and that's what happened. He's not a disciplinarian. He didn't want to raise his voice. He didn't want to do anything like that. So those little kids were just screwing around doing whatever the heck they wanted. Okay, so and he wasn't getting lessons or lesson plans done, and he was anyway. Okay, so he went to the guys that sent him there and said, "I want out of this contract. I can't do it. I'll pay you. I'll do anything. Right? I'll pay you back for the amount that the airfare and all the money that they spent sending him over there." And the answer was no. We want the teacher. We sent you over there. It's a 2 year contract. That's your signature, and we'll sue the hell out of you if you don't hold up your end of the bargain. So he went back and he decided that, well, he wasn't going to hurt him. So, and he wasn't going to, like I said, he wasn't going to raise his voice. He certainly wasn't going to use corporal punishment. And back in the day, this was in the 70s where corporal punishment was allowed. And I was in 1976, I was at a Catholic school, and the nuns had just lost their ability to strike children. But before that, we were all subject to corporal punishment. Anyway, Jerry was not going to use any kind of corporal punishment on these children, and he wasn't going to yell at them, and he wasn't. So, all right, so he decided that, well, if he's not going to hurt them, and he'll just play with them. Let's just play. So he started playing and playing, and pretty soon, lo and behold, and then organizing them into groups and playing that way, and pretty soon he realized he was teaching these children quite a bit of mathematics, actually, and quite a bit of other stuff, but mostly his emphasis was mathematics. And he was very interested to see how much you could teach a young child. And it turns out you can teach them pretty much everything. The axiom, no concept is beyond the grasp of a child if it is presented at the child's level. And he was having these little 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. They're doing algebra. They're doing, Pythagorean theorem, no problem. Derivation of pi r squared. They understand that. How to find the area of a circle. Studying triangles and rectangles, and just playing. And then going outside and drawing in the dirt and playing on the sidewalk with sidewalk chalk. All these things, right? Games and activities. Barely a workbook. Barely a worksheet. Right? Paper and pencil, yeah, we're going to teach them how to write numbers and make sure that their penmanship isn't, because penmanship is important, but we're not going to judge a child's ability to do mathematics on his ability to work a pencil. It's not the same. It is a reflection, but it's not the same. And now, over time, we figure out how and when and why to use paper and pencil to transfer the information from the left to right brain. Okay, wildly successful. Like, wildly successful. And that's how the system came to be. Right? And this system has been tried and tested. I have tried and tested it in 49 states, Canada, Fiji, Mexico. I have taught every kind of student, deaf students, blind students, quadriplegics, of course ESL, where their second language was not, their second language was English, their first language wasn't, right? But mathematics is a universal language. So if you understand how to teach it, you can teach anyone math, because guess what? Mathematics is the same in Brazil and Russia and China and the United States and Canada and New Zealand and Australia. The math is the same. All right, so if you would like to, and this is going to be like, how much can I get done in 4 hours? But the idea is to get them going. See, but they all have passwords, right? And they have all been instructed to spend some time on my site between, 2 weeks between now and the 31st to spend some time on my website, getting lessons. There's teacher training there, anywhere they want to go. Site-wide password, advanced algebra, whatever. But just spend some time on my website, and then I'm going to show you how to put theory into practice with actual hands-on. where you can talk, ask questions, etc. All right. CroutonRamon'sHouseOfMath.com for more. But the idea is that this seminar, I think it's worth your time. Oh, and then let's talk about price. $400 is the price. That's $100 an hour. If you're a Montessori school or a other Montessorian, if you are a client of mine and you've already got passwords and so forth, you can come for less than that. And there are some people that just, I mean, you can see the ads here, or well, I don't know what you call them, the posts here for the pricing. But if you have, and there's several of you actually now that have bought passwords and got time with those passwords, a couple of you got things on sale and you got 10 hours, well, come in and cash in 4 hours here. You can audit. And you pay nothing because you already paid for the password. Those of you that already have passwords, you pay less. And those of you that do not have passwords, it's $400. And you'll get some passwords with that $400. You won't get them all, but you'll get the important ones. You'll get the site-wide for sure, and you'll get more teacher training, of course. And then you may want to buy more passwords later. But for $400, you get the seminar for 4 hours, and you get all of my support material. Right? And this website, it's a homemade website, but it's taken me, what is it, 15 years into that website? There is a lot of stuff on that website. You're not getting through Crouton Ramon's House of Math in a month or two. Right? It is designed for you to go from kindergarten on. Right? Start small and work your way up. Okay. So if you haven't got passwords and if you don't know anything about anything and you'd like to get some passwords and training, you can dive in for $400 on Saturday, the 31st. It will be 8 a.m. Eastern time, not Pacific time. And it might be 9. We might move it up 1 hour. We'll see. But right now, we're saying 8. And if it does move up to 9, of course, I'll let you know. But the idea is that I had written a P instead of an E, and it's Eastern time. These people are in Massachusetts. Okay. And I expect there'll be some people from other places. All right. CroutonRamon'sHouseOfMath.com for more. Shasta, you're welcome to come. A lot of you. Shaylin, you're welcome to come. A few of you, the Maui Math Group, you two are, and your whoever you hangers on are also welcome to come because I owe you 10 hours anyway. So show up free. Free is a good deal. Anything more than that, you got to negotiate. But those of you that I don't owe any hours to, and those of you that don't have passwords, $400, and I'll give you a couple passwords, get you trained, get you going. I assure you that after a few weeks doing this, you will absolutely be head and shoulders above most Montessori teachers when it comes to teaching mathematics, and certainly public school teachers when it comes to teaching mathematics. And I'm going to show you how to incorporate the algebra from get-go. All right, CroutonRamon'sHouseOfMath.com for more.